On February 11th, I gathered a group of self-described creatives at RoCA to make the short film you're about to see. As a documentarian that uses words and images to tell the story of the Hudson River Village where my family has lived since the 1880s, I have often decried that there are too many stories and not enough storytellers. Thanks to RoCA, we're about to close that gap. I asked the creatives the following question. If you had only one story to tell, to be remembered by, what would that story be? The question evokes the theme of perspectives, an exhibit where the film will be presented. The exhibition features art focusing on cultural identity and autobiographical storytelling by the invited artists. But for me, there is something more than just being a storyteller. I believe that writing, recording, filming, and documenting your experience is your civic duty. The narrative of these times, which creates the historic record, has not been written. It is being written, and from more and more unreliable sources. It is more important now than ever before to provide first-person narratives or to collect oral histories. These data points, taken as a whole, will give the most accurate depiction of these increasingly dark times. So before I ask my colleagues to tell one story they want to be remembered by, I'll start with one of my own, the story of my grandmother's chair. This is my grandmother, Frances Lillian Avery Batson. And this is her chair. About 3 years ago, my fiancée, Marisol Diaz, and I were driving down North Broadway, Nyack, New York, on the way to Nyack State Beach, where Chica, our dog, loves to swim. See, Chica won't jump in the water. She wants to run into the water, so we need a beach to find for her to do her thing. So Nyack State Beach was the place we'd bring her. On the way back, one afternoon, we saw a for rent sign in a place where you normally don't see for rent signs, in the part of our region called Upper Nyack. So we took a gamble, drove down this path, and looked for this spot that was for rent. We found this incredibly beautiful compound of cottages, and then we saw a street sign, and I was stunned. The street sign said Jewett Place, and the Jewetts were the family that my grandmother worked for as a maid for many years. Being in this high rent district, I didn't think that we could possibly get selected if we put in an application, but it was important enough to try, and lo and behold, we got a phone call from the realtor, and they accepted us to be the next family to move into this cottage. Around the same time, this very important piece of furniture that I showed you, my grandmother's chair, where at the end of a very long day she sat and relaxed, became available to me. I put it in storage for several years. It was needed repair. I had it repaired, but I had no place to store it. Where we lived, Marisol and I, was a small apartment with all of our artist materials and all of the things we had in storage. So we really couldn't give a proper home to this chair, and I had left it in Antique Masters with Mahmoud, the owner. And the same day that we closed on this house, Muhammad saw me on Broadway and said, "Bill, your chair, I have your chair, it's your chair, take your chair." I was amazed that I was actually able to go and pick up the chair from Muhammad, drive it from South Broadway to North Broadway, and deliver it into this cottage. It was the first piece of furniture that was brought into the cottage. I brought it upstairs, and Marisol and I agreed that it deserved the place of privilege. It is placed in front of a window overlooking the Hudson River. I know my grandmother worked very hard to buy a home, which is an amazing feat for a domestic in her time. I know that people working in that field probably can't afford to buy homes now. But she bought this home, she worked really hard, and I'm pretty sure that when she was at work, no matter how beautiful the view, if she was cleaning a window and the river was on the other side, she was not looking at that river. So now, we placed a chair where my grandmother can enjoy the view as long as we're here. So that's the story of my grandmother's chair, a story I'd like to be remembered by.